all. We are starting the meeting right now. So I'm Dr. Tania Paul Das on behalf of Bionest IASST. Welcome you all for today's webinar. So we all believe that an urgency or the common needs prompt like-minded people to work together to pursue the goals for our interests. So hence we have all gathered here virtually to attend the webinar on the role of engineers, MBAs and scientists in the high-tech bio startups. In the onset, I would like to introduce all to our honorable speaker, Dr. Prabodh Bora. He is the head of the Department of Animal Biotechnology at the College of Veterinary Science, Assam Agriculture University, Khanapara, Guwahati. It will not be wrong to say that he is an integral part and one of the most important pillar of the innovation ecosystem in the Northeastern region. So as the coordinator of the Bioinformatics Infrastructure Facility and State Biotech Hub of the state of Assam, he has been mentoring and supervising multidisciplinary research on biomedical sciences. But before knowing about him in details, I would request our newly joined Honorable Director, Sir Dr. Ashish Kumar Mukherjee, to give the opening statement and begin the session with his inspiring words. Over to you, sir.
So good morning, everyone, participants, including our honorable speakers and organizers of this webinar. So I welcome first all of you to the role of engineers, MBAs and scientists in high-tech bio startups, which is being organized by Bionest IAST. So already you know about the webinar, this requirement of that this webinar is for establishing a connecting link between the ecosystem of engineer, scientists, and MBAs. So one of the objectives of this webinar, as you can understand, is the development of the entrepreneurs who are interested in the development of the biomedical technologies like biomedical kits or biomedical devices, as well as the analytical and quality control processes. Today, it is a really very great opportunity for us that with us a very renowned resource person, and I'm really grateful and thankful to Professor Bora, who is very well known to me for very long, so many years, who is a very renowned scientist and as well as an academician, distinguished academician. And I think he works on the animal biotechnology, particularly the microbial biotechnology. And he has a very good achievements academically, scientifically, and he has given a lot of effort for the development of biotechnology research, as well as the entrepreneurship development in the Northeast India. So sir, I also welcome and really grateful and thankful for you that you have given a part of your valuable time from an extremely busy schedule and given a consent to act as a resource person. We are really grateful. I also thank the webinar organizers, Bionest, Dr. Debashish Choudhury, as well as Dr. Tania Paul Das, and all the other scientists and staff and faculty members of the IAST who are involved in this process. I also welcome the participants that you have shown the eagerness. So I will not give a very lengthy your introduction and speech, because you know that you all are eagerly waiting for listening our honorable resource person. But couple of words that I like to mention here, that this entrepreneurship development is actually particularly very important, most particularly for the development of the, the Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, which was the slogan and is initiated by our Honorable Prime Minister, which is intended for the India's grassroots development. And I think the bio-startup is linked with that Atmanirbhar Bharat policy, as well as the Make in India policies of the government of India. So actually there is an urgent need for empowering local capacities and most importantly, bring together all the participate in the global market. So what happened today? If you see, several of us has the capacity or some technology we have developed at our level. And perhaps this is the high time when there is so much global commercialization and globalization is going on, that our technology, our thing should be started here. Even when I see the technology market or even in the scientific things, most of your diagnostic kits, devices, and even the instrument, even your simple say pH meter, your balance, all these things, they are being manufactured in other countries, but now the scenario has changed. It has been changing. So I think high time we should take this opportunity to start up our own high-tech bio startups, where we can think of, right, as stated very rightly, development of different diagnostic kits like COVID-19 is one of the example vaccine of the, diagnosis of the COVID-19 and several diseases, right? Small different diseases we can, our local strength and can be utilized. Local strength, what I mean to say that local development, regional cooperation, all these are very important factors. So what we have to say that there is a need of the hour is to strengthen the Indian economy. Self-reliance, self-belief, and building the local strength. These are all of the hours of the need. And I have just going through the papers and other that our finance minister has recently declared about 20 lakh crore for capacity building local capacities and this kind of your skill development program. So I think this is a very high opportunity. Government is encouraging. We have enough skill and talent, and why not utilize this kind of opportunity for the growth and development of the country. So with this, I again thank you all for participation. I believe this will be a very good webinar, and all the participants will accumulate knowledge that will be really helpful for them to starting some bio startups. And as you know that BioNest IAST is ready to provide you all kind of support, whatever you needed for the development of this region, and particularly the Northeast region, and as well as for our country. So thank you very much. With this, I over to the organizers, and actually I am also eager to listen to our honorable speaker today, Dr. Prabodh Boda. Is very well known, as I said, well known to me, well-known scientist and academician of the region. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mukherjee, for your good wishes. Your positive thoughts always motivate us. So now, without delay, I would request Prabodh Boda sir to commence the webinar, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Tanya. So I thank Dr. Mukherjee for introducing me to the audience, and you have said many good words about me. I do not know what I am to receive such an accolade from scientists like you. So I am always happy to be associated with any activity of the IISST. Since beginning, I have been associated on many fronts with IISST, and I think with your joining as the leader of the IISST, it will grow further and will reach a new height in the near future. So with this, let me share my presentation with you. So today, the topic assigned to me in this important webinar is role of engineers, MBAs, and scientists in high-tech bio startups. As you all are aware of the fact that in today's context, biological sciences are looking forward to more collaborative efforts from across different scientific fields, including those from material sciences. So today we realize that many of the things in the biological system may be better explained if we take the help of the principles and procedures of material sciences, maybe be it physics, chemistry, mathematics, engineering, statistics, computer science, and whatnot. So more and more avenues for association of experts from material sciences into the advanced areas of biology and biotechnology are coming up in the recent past, and there is a big scope of participation of all in the effort to build products from biological sources. So in that context, today we shall be discussing and we will be confining to the aspect of the role of engineers, MBAs, and scientists in high-tech bio startups. I'll be simply focusing on some of the common areas where we can have possible collaboration to develop potential startups and bio-entrepreneurship. And we can also have further collaboration in research and innovations. I'll start with the story of a very successful bio-entrepreneur in India. She's an Indian billionaire entrepreneur today, and she has been already declared as the EY World Entrepreneur of the Year 2020. And she has been also recognized as the 65th most powerful woman in the world by Forbes. She is the chairperson and managing director of Biocon Limited, which is a very important and #1 biotech-based entrepreneurship or company in India now. She is none other than, and you might be knowing, all of you, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. She is now 67 years old. Her birth was in Pune, Maharashtra on 23rd March 1953. We are all proud of her because she is recognized as a very leading entrepreneur and innovator throughout the globe. But the story starts with the starting of the biotech entrepreneurship by Ms. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw in 1978 with merely an amount of rupees 10,000. So she was having 10,000 capital in her own hand, and with that mega amount, she started the journey of Biocon. And the first product she launched was Papain. I think you know this is a protease obtained from papaya, and this is being utilized in many different industries, including brewing, textiles, biofuels, and also in many other scientific interventions. This particular protease is being utilized today. But at that moment, that was the only product she launched in 1978. Until 1983, her products were only on certain blended enzymes. But today, she used to produce a lot of different biological products, and that are available in the global market. And that's how she has become one of the leading biotechnological entrepreneurs throughout the globe. So this is a success story of India, and we all feel proud of her. I think we can, in future, can have many such entrepreneurs if we follow her path, and also we enter into the new ventures by building new startups in biology and related areas. Today, we shall be highlighting some of the areas where there can be startups, not only in different leading cities of the country, but also we can also think of developing similar kind of startups and bio-entrepreneurships in Northeastern region, including Assam. So let me start with the definition of startup. Many times my students used to ask me, sir, what is the difference between startup and entrepreneurship? Because these two terms are mostly used synonymously, but in real sense, in the narrowest definition, there is a difference between the two terms. A startup is a young company founded by one or more entrepreneurs to develop a unique product or a service and bring it to the market. So by its nature, startup used to be like a shoestring operation, means with a small inadequate capital it is being initiated, and initial funding is not derived from any funding sources. But on the other hand, entrepreneurship refers to all new businesses, including self-employment and businesses that never intend to become registered. But startup usually used to get started with a larger vision to make new business and intend to grow larger and larger beyond the solo founder in future. So by property, the startups also differ from the entrepreneurships because startups are more innovative and they are more into innovations and they wish to make new things. That is not only a business-oriented approach, only with the aim of profit making, but at the same time that is innovative. Some new technologies, new services, and new products are being developed. So a statement given by the famous co-founder and CEO of Warby Parker, which company was adjudged the most innovative company of the world in 2015, Neil Blumenthal, he described that a startup is a company working to solve a problem where the solution is not obvious and success is not guaranteed. Now, there are some known characteristics of a successful startup. To be successful in a startup, one must have to have a product to be launched which is fit to the market. That is, marketable product must be there in the launching effort. then it should start with a small test market. We cannot think of a bigger market worldwide or in many countries, but we should start with a small vision initially to launch the product with a limited area of the market. And the startups are usually passionate about disruption. That means you may not be always successful, or there may be some hiccups at the beginning, but you should be ready to face those challenges. They should foster awesome company cultures. They take feedback seriously. They should have a specific focus, and then they should build engaged communities. Means they must have to have a search for collaboration, a search for communities around them who can help and build together the startup in future to a greater height. There are 4 must-have characteristics of a bio-entrepreneur or startup venture. So they should have a clear vision. As I already said, that you must have to have a good idea with a clear vision to make a new product marketable, and also have a vision of bringing it to a higher scale in future with the success in the initial venture. And they should also understand the industry and its challenges. As I said, if you do not know about the industry, if you do not know about the market, if you do not know about the challenges that maybe that you may have to encounter after initiation of the startup, there is a more chance of failure. So you must have to have a survey of the market, survey of the industry, and also have sufficient discussion with entrepreneurs and startup which are growing nearby, so that you can also know the problems and the challenges being faced by the startups and entrepreneurs in your area. You should be highly flexible and digital. You also need to be persistent enough. As I said, that with mere effort of only for a short duration, you may not be so much successful, but you should have perseverance. You must have to persist for a longer duration to try as a startup and be successful. In India, there are a lot of efforts from the government side to provide the necessary inputs in the form of initial funding for the newly growing startups and bio-entrepreneurs. I think most of you are aware of that, but even then, let me tell you, for the knowledge of those participants who are not aware of such funding resources available to the bio-entrepreneurs of this country. So funding usually comes from 2 sources, one from DBT and one from DST. But of course, there are many other sources, industry and commerce, then the information technology department, and many other sources. Some specific funding for startups used to be delivered, but these are the most important sources from where the bio-entrepreneurship startups can be funded. So DBT has already initiated and established an independent organization called BIREC. Under that, there are a lot of schemes initiated in the recent past. I will mention some of them. One is BIREC Srishti, Gaiti or Giti Awards. So under this, 15 lakhs is provided to 15 entrepreneurs in one go. And yearly, about 100 young entrepreneurs or innovators are also awarded 1 lakh grant to initiate startup. Then under university innovation cluster, many universities are being supported by BIREC to initiate the incubation centers and innovation clusters. And under that, there is also a possibility to provide 50,000 per month grant to PhD holders for doing certain innovative research towards development of a startup. And an innovation grant of 5 lakh per year is also given to those bio-entrepreneurs who would like to join after PhD degree as a postdoc, in which per month 50,000 stipend will be given to them initially. Then for postmasters innovators, there is also another provision of providing 30,000 per month along with a BIREC innovation grant of 2 lakh. But for this, you must have to have a very novel idea which can be developed into a product which is marketable. Then another fund is BIREC ACE fund. This is specifically to support nascent biotech startups. So under this also, usually per annum, more than 50 entrepreneurs are being supported. Another program is Early Translational Accelerator. This also supports the period between basic research and product development. That means when you are having a very successful idea, you can continue to work in your research efforts, innovative efforts for basic research, so that you can develop a marketable product at the end. So for research also, this particular translational grant is available. Similarly, another is Technology Business Incubator. So this is an initiative from DST under the National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board. Then government also used to fund to registered companies. Once you register as a new venture company, then you can also apply for grants under these three schemes. One is Biotechnology Ignition Grant, big scheme. Under that, 50 lakh initial grant is provided to new startups for 18 months. Then Small Business Innovation Research Initiative of SIBRI. Under this again, it provides grant to the R&D institutions in cooperation or collaboration with industries. Similarly, another grant is Biotechnology Industry Partnership Program, under which up to 50% project cost may be awarded as a granting aid to newly developed startups or bio-entrepreneurs. Then mostly the DBT DST programs and biotech programs so far have given grants to some of the new startups and bio-entrepreneurs in these lines. These are some priority areas: consultancy services, seed processing unit, biodiesel production, food processing units, vermicompost production, omics-driven startups or genomics service providers, and then biomedical sensors and devices. So these are some of the promising areas where you can generate some novel idea which can be translated into a product and can be marketed under the grant received from these funding agencies. So this is a brief list of some of the most successful bioinformatics startups in the world. Although I'll not go into detail because these are mostly in advanced countries. So biomakers, they are working with soil microbiome. I'm giving this short list to highlight some of the areas where the bioinformatics startups can also be built. Application of bioinformatics for microbiome research related to soil. So this is one company in US which is considered as one of the topmost bioentrepreneurship companies, biomakers. Similarly, Next Biotics, it provides the support in bioinformatics in animal feed research or feedomics research. Then BioVerse Labs in precision agriculture, AgriMax in crop production. Similarly, CloudSec in next generation sequencing analysis. And these are some of the leading bioinformatics startups in India. I think most of you are aware of some of them. Gonit Labs, it is a specific laboratory established in Bangalore with partnership of the private with the government of the Karnataka state government, and this has been doing a great job in providing the omics services to the laboratories and researchers. Similarly, MedGenome, then PepMyGenome, Accelerace, then SciGenome, ZyHealth, and Expo. These are some of the leading service providing companies in the area of bioinformatics, which have been generated merely by the bio-entrepreneurs or scientists or researchers from the background of biotechnology and bioinformatics. Now let us come to what is the engineer's role in bio-entrepreneurship ventures. Particularly, the engineer's role is very highly recognized in biopharmaceutical sector, in the maintenance of supply chain in biopharmaceutical sector. Globally, this is a very important fast-growing segment of the biotech industry, where it is expected that it will grow to around 445 billion. It was an estimate in 2019, but of course, maybe it has gone beyond $600 billion by now. So the future growth and success of biopharmaceutical industry entirely depends upon the collaborative approaches of biologists, pharmaceutical experts, along with people from the background of management as well as from engineering. So engineers play a very critical role in driving the innovation. So engineers can be an integral part of the entire product life cycle and they may be involved in many different steps in the life cycle of the product generated from biopharmaceutical company. They are, for example, very important in the fundamental part of designing and construction of the facilities in a new startup where a new product in pharmaceutical sector is being developed. So biomedical engineers who are engaged in bio-entrepreneurship or startup companies do have certain specific characteristics, or these are some required, so to say, characteristics of the biomedical engineers. So normally they are more promising in this sector if they do have some experience of machine learning or statistical modeling. These two group of engineers are gaining much importance in the pharmaceutical industry in the recent past. Then they must have to have some little orientation to the biological science also. And therefore, I think in many engineering institutions as well as in management institutions now, they are providing some subject expertise or preliminary basic knowledge in biological sciences also. I'll come to that. So what are the areas where the management institutes and engineering institutions are providing access to biological science to the engineering graduates and management graduates. So if you are oriented to that, I think you do have a better fit into the biomedical field. Then if you have done experience in design and development of medical devices, then a background of design and development of mathematical models, algorithms, or signal processing techniques, and you are better fit to the biotech entrepreneurship ventures. Similarly, if you are also having experience in programming language like Python or Java, then also you may have more room for your attachment and access to the biotech industries. Biomedical engineers are specialists who help to develop advanced healthcare technology in different areas. So the responsibilities of the biomedical engineers usually are involved in different aspects of the product chain, as I already mentioned. So I'll not go into detail about all these aspects, but we need to know that they need to be creative and they must have to have the technical ability to turn designs into product while they are engaged with the biomedical entrepreneurship. Now, materials are playing a very great role in the biotech industry today. So there are more and more use of non-living materials in the biological industry or biotech ventures to generate certain useful products, not only in the area of agriculture, but also in different areas, including health and pharmaceuticals. So many metals and alloys, ceramics, polymers, composites, and biologically derived materials are being used extensively in different biotech-based products. Now, to give an example, so you know that in heart tissue, metals and alloys are being used for fixation and joint replacement. So in medical orthopedic surgery, I think many of the replacements are now being done by the materials or the devices which are developed by using certain alloys and metals. In the vascular system, they are employed in stents and heart valves. Since last 1970s and 80s, heart valves are known to be produced by use of metals and alloys. Similarly, in dental applications also, they may involve many such kind of alloy systems, including gold, amalgams, and tantalum. So, recent trend in use of materials in designing and development of biomaterials or biological products include these aspects: implantable biosensors, artificial muscles, drug delivery hydrogels, wound dressings, sealants and adhesives, tissue augmentation and regeneration. I think in tissue engineering, you know that various materials are being applied, particularly to prepare the scaffold to generate the tissues and organs to be transplanted into individuals. Then in immunoisolation devices and specific surface chemistry modifications. So similarly, the management experts or MBA graduates are also sparking in the innovation in biotech and healthcare in the recent past. there are a lot of scope of MBA graduates to get involved with the biotech entrepreneurship and biostartups. And more managers are needed to steer this drive in the bioentrepreneurship to the market level, because their help will be very much essential, particularly to guarantee the marketability of the product, and also to maintain the startups, manage the creativity and production efforts and the operation. So in the big data sector also, in particular, there are a lot of opportunities coming up for the management graduates in the recent past, in addition to the usual diagnostic testing and communication system where they have been engaged since last 20 years or so. So demand for big data analysis and involvement of MBA is fueling the creation of new master's degree in business analytics. Now in many of the management institutions, they have developed one specific area of degree producing graduates with specialization in business analytics. More and more doctors are also turning into MBA by associating themselves into MBA programs and learning the business analytics so that they can use the knowledge and skill acquired from such management courses into their own medical ventures. So many of the universities in advanced countries are already starting combined courses of MBA and Doctor of Medicine. A recent survey made by Carnegie Foundation has pointed out that number of joint MBA and Doctor of Medicine programs in US has grown from 6 to 65 in 20 years. So a technical skill set combined with business acumen and leadership is a powerful combination, and that is being taken into advantage by development of this kind of mutual combined courses of medicine and MBA by many of the leading institutes of the advanced countries. So MBA specializing in pharmaceuticals or healthcare is another aspect where many of the advanced countries have developed certain specific programs for those who would like to specialize simultaneously with pharmaceutical and healthcare along with management. Some of the leading institutions in business management like SAID Business School, Harvard Business School, and Rothman School of Management have already initiated similar kind of programs. So these, under these courses, the students will study courses such as innovation in healthcare. You see, they are the management students, but the management students will study innovation in healthcare, technology, artificial intelligence and healthcare, negotiation in healthcare and pharmaceuticals, ethics in healthcare, data analysis in healthcare, strategic leadership in pharmaceuticals. We should not think that such kind of ventures are being initiated only by advanced countries. Already this particular, so to say, realization has also been utilized in many of the industry-driven courses in management institutes in India. So with the help of the management graduates, with their expertise, I think pharma industry can also get benefit to increase the level of time management, leadership skills, creative thinking, communication and interpersonal skills, and market knowledge. So these are some of the popular international recruiters of MBA in pharmaceutical sector. I'll not go into detail. I think some of them are very well known in India also, like Novartis, Pfizer, then Johnson & Johnson, Bayer. They are known in India also. They do have large business in many countries of the world, across the globe. MBA programs for healthcare and biotech has also been started, as I said, in India also, in many of the nationally known business schools, like International School of Business and Research in Bengaluru, Indian Institute of Management and Training in Pune, ISB, Indian School of Business in Hyderabad, then others as I have listed here. But this is not an exhaustive list. There are many more institutions coming up with such type of innovative courses wherein MBA programs are also launched along with exposure to healthcare and pharmaceuticals and other biotech sectors. Now, artificial intelligence is growing in a bigger way so that it can also be a part of the biotech entrepreneurship. there's a big role to be played by experts in artificial intelligence and machine learning in the area of biotechnology and pharmaceutical research as well as product development. So there are some important areas where the artificial intelligence is already being applied in a smaller scale. But of course, most of these ventures are even today not very highly commercialized, but these are at the innovation stage, and gradually some efforts are being made to use these technologies to produce certain commercializable product. So these are some of the areas where AI has been extensively used at experimental level, and some products have already come to the market, like drug discovery and clinical trials, diagnostics, agriculture, then radiotherapy and radiology, then personalized medicine, gene editing, electronic health record, medication management, sales rep performance. So out of these, I think some of the areas are being seen as most promising areas. Say, for example, in terms of the use of the technology in diagnostics and agriculture as well as in drug discovery. So in agriculture, already the computer vision and deep learning have been applied in an experimental scale to monitor the occurrence of various infectious diseases in the different crops by using drones. Drones are used to monitor in a particular farmer's field or cultivation field to monitor the development of the symptoms and the ailments in the plants being grown, and that is being analyzed by use of computational softwares and algorithms, as well as by use of machine learning and AI, so that immediate diagnosis can be made of such kind of occurrence of infectious diseases and remedial measures can be taken. Similarly, for disease diagnosis in human and animals also, the machine learning and AI are being used to a great extent, particularly in the field of neuroscience, cardiology, and cancer. I'm not going to explaining all the different areas where AI is being used because of paucity of time. Now, there are 5 important use cases where artificial intelligence have been successfully used in medical imaging. As I said, in medical sector, in diagnostics, this is a promising field of, so to say, collaborative research between computational experts, bioinformaticians, engineers, as well as health experts and biologists. So many new companies are coming up in this sector in use of machine learning and AI in medical imaging. So a new area of research is coming up that is usually referred to as health IT analytics. So health and IT analytics is, as I said, is an area where there can be participation from scientists from across material and health sciences as well as other biological sciences. So particularly in the areas of identifying cardiovascular abnormalities, detecting fractures and other musculoskeletal injuries, aiding in the diagnosis of neurological diseases, flagging thoracic complications and conditions, screening for common cancers. So as I already said, the diagnostics, particularly in the field of cardiology, neurology, and cancer, is showing promising interaction between the experts in AI and machine learning with the biologists and health scientists. Use of machine learning has also been already promisingly demonstrated in the areas related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So within the last 1 year of time, many research ventures have been taken by scientists of the world for use of machine learning and AI for diagnosis and management of COVID-19. See, these are some of the important areas where already successful products and devices have been developed for use of machine learning for diagnosis and management of COVID-19. Examples are machine learning have been used to accurately predict the probability of COVID-19, allowing the ED clinicians to reduce the number of patients referred for testing. So that means for preliminary screening of the patients which needed confirmatory testing, RT-PCR, some initial screening can be done by use of machine learning technology, and we can reduce the number of people who require final testing by RT-PCR. So such a device has been already developed and it has been published. Similarly, machine learning tool have been already produced to accurately detect COVID-19 on X-rays. Based on X-ray image, now COVID-19 can be detected by use of machine learning techniques. Machine learning models have been also developed for forecasting likelihood of COVID-19 mortality. In a suffering patient, what is the prediction of the that means possibility of death in the patient detected based on the severity of the infection and the possible lesions occurring in different vital organs of the body. A predictive method has been developed using machine learning so that the patients who are about to die can be predicted at the initial stage of infection. Similarly, big data analytics calculator have been produced which can determine also the COVID-19 mortality risk. Data analytic tools have been developed which help designing COVID-19 testing strategies. So with this, I have come to the end of my lecture. I have been given 45 minutes time. I think I have taken almost 45 minutes. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. So I would like to end with a famous statement by Jessica Herrin, the founder and CEO of another important biotech-based company, Stella and Dot in US. She said that you have to see failure at the beginning, the middle, but never entertain it at the end. So you must have to have the persistence, perseverance to continue your efforts to build a new startup or bio-entrepreneurship venture of your own, because you may not be having higher funding resources. You may not be having a very big idea to commercialize immediately, but if you have got an idea which can be translated into a product, you can always start thinking of having a bio startup, because there are a lot of funding resources now available for the young entrepreneurs, and there are specific funding support provided to the Northeastern researchers and innovators for building their own startup. Particularly the BIREC under DBT is providing lucrative offers in this sector to the bio-entrepreneurs of the Northeastern region specifically. I would hope that with this, so to say, a kind of curtain raiser, I have tried to highlight some of the important areas where the young scientists and innovators can think of building their own startup in near future. And I hope that in the near future, we will find many startups and bio-entrepreneurship growing in different parts of the Northeastern region. With this, I end, and I thank very much the organizers, particularly the Honorable the Chairman, the Director of ISST, as well as Dr. Chaudhary, and the convener of this program, Ms. Tania, for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to share some of my thoughts with the participants today. And I offer my thanks to all the participants who have joined this program. Thank you very much. And I think I should also say happy birthday to Dr. Debashish Chaudhary. Thank you.
Happy birthday, sir, from us also. So it was really an interesting webinar flooded with useful information. I hope the participants have accomplished the essence of being entrepreneurs. And as rightly said, we cannot move ahead alone. So we have to imbibe in us the ability to work with diverse fields of science and technology, and a free mind to accept the legal and the business strategies. Now,